Hello and welcome to Easy Story Studio. Today we have a wonderful A2 level English story for you. It is about a brother and sister who discover a magical place. Listen carefully to practice your English, and let's begin. Emma and her younger brother Toby lived in a noisy city. Their parents decided to move to a quiet house in the country. The children were very excited about their big new home. The new house was very old and made of gray stone. It had a tall roof and many large glass windows. The best part of the house was the huge wild garden. The garden was full of tall green grass and beautiful flowers. There were many old trees with thick, heavy brown branches. Emma and Toby wanted to explore every part of it. On their first Saturday, the sun was shining very brightly. The two siblings put on their strong outdoor playing shoes. They opened the back door and ran into the garden. They played tag and hid behind the large green bushes. They chased colorful butterflies and listened to the singing birds. The fresh country air felt wonderful in their happy lungs. Soon they ran to the very back of the wild garden. The grass was much taller here and completely hid their shoes. They saw something huge and dark standing in the shadows. It was an enormous oak tree with thick, twisting brown roots. The tree looked like it was 1,000 years old. Its branches reached high into the clear blue summer sky. "This is the biggest tree I have ever seen," said Toby. Emma nodded her head and walked closer to the thick trunk. She touched the rough bark with her small, curious hands. As she walked around the tree, she saw something very strange. There was a large pile of dark, wet autumn leaves. The leaves were covering something flat and made of wood. "Toby, come here and help me move these leaves," she said. Toby ran over and used his hands to push the leaves. They worked together until the flat wooden thing was clean. It was a small, heavy wooden door hidden in the roots. The door had a rusty iron handle and a large keyhole. The children looked at each other with wide, surprised eyes.
"Where do you think this secret door goes?" asked young Toby. Emma shook her head because she honestly did not know. "We need to find a key to open it," she replied. They started to look for a key near the old tree. They searched in the tall grass and under the gray rocks. They looked inside small holes in the thick wooden trunk. Suddenly, a small gray squirrel ran down from a high branch. It stopped near a flat rock and dropped a shiny object. The squirrel quickly ran away into the tall green grass. Toby walked to the flat rock and picked up the object. It was an old, heavy iron key covered in dry dirt. "I think the squirrel just gave us the key," he shouted. Emma took the heavy key and cleaned it with her shirt. She put the key into the rusty lock of the door. She turned her hand slowly, and the lock made a loud click. Toby pulled the rusty iron handle with all his strength. The heavy wooden door opened slowly with a loud creaking sound. A cool, dark breeze blew out from the hidden space. The children looked down into a very dark and scary hole. They saw a narrow spiral staircase made of gray stone. The stairs went deep down into the cold, dark ground. "We need a flashlight to go down there," said smart Emma. They ran back to the stone house to get their flashlights. They did not tell their parents about the secret door. They returned to the old tree with 2 bright yellow flashlights. Emma turned her light on and stepped onto the first stair. Toby followed close behind his brave older sister, feeling nervous. They walked down the spiral stairs very carefully and slowly. The stone walls felt cold and slightly wet to the touch. They counted 50 steps before they finally reached the bottom. At the bottom, they found a completely dark and quiet room. Emma and Toby pointed their bright flashlights around the hidden space. They gasped loudly when they saw what was inside it.
The underground room was a secret workshop full of amazing things. There were wooden tables covered with strange tools and old papers. There were empty glass bottles and pieces of shiny metal. In the corner, there was a large, comfortable leather chair. A thick layer of gray dust covered absolutely everything in sight. It looked like nobody had been here for many long years. "Who do you think owned this amazing place?" asked curious Toby. Emma walked to a table and looked at some old drawings. "I think it belonged to a very clever inventor," she said. The drawings showed strange flying machines and mechanical walking toys. There were complex math equations written in neat black ink. The inventor clearly loved building wonderful and magical new things. Toby walked to the other side of the dark, dusty room. He saw a wooden box sitting on a small round table. The box had beautiful gold patterns carved into the wood. He opened the box carefully and shone his yellow flashlight inside. Resting on a piece of red velvet was a metal bird. The bird was the size of a real living pigeon. It was made of shiny brass and had detailed metal feathers. It had small glass eyes that sparkled in the flashlight beam. However, one of its metal wings was completely broken off. "Look at this beautiful mechanical bird, Emma," Toby called out loudly. Emma walked over and carefully picked up the heavy brass bird. She saw the broken wing and felt a little sad. "The inventor must have left before he could fix it," she said. "Maybe we can fix it ourselves and make it work again." Toby smiled brightly and agreed with his sister's great idea. They searched the messy tables for the missing brass wing piece. They found it hiding under a stack of old yellow papers. They also found a small screwdriver and a bottle of oil. Emma used the screwdriver to attach the wing to the bird. She worked very slowly and carefully to connect the tiny parts. Toby helped by holding the flashlight steady for his sister. After 30 minutes, the metal wing was perfectly attached again. Toby put a small drop of oil on the bird's joints. Now the mechanical bird looked completely whole and brand new. "There is a small keyhole on its back," Emma noticed suddenly. "We need another key to wind it up and make it move." They started to search the dusty room for a winding key. Toby looked inside the drawers of the big wooden tables. He found pencils, strings, and many useless pieces of broken metal. He did not find a small key for the brass bird. Emma looked around the comfortable leather chair in the dark corner. She saw something shining on the stone floor near the chair. It was a tiny brass key tied to a red ribbon. "I found the winding key," she shouted with extreme excitement. She ran back to the table where the mechanical bird sat. She gently pushed the tiny key into the bird's back. She turned the key 3 times until it felt very tight. She stepped back and watched the brass bird on the table. For a few seconds, nothing happened in the quiet room. Then they heard a soft ticking sound coming from the bird. The brass bird suddenly moved its head from left to right. It opened its small metal beak and blinked its glass eyes. The children watched in total amazement as the bird came alive. It flapped its shiny wings and hopped on the wooden table. Then it opened its beak and began to sing a song. The song was not a harsh, loud, or metallic sound. It sounded like a real, beautiful forest bird singing a melody. The music filled the dusty underground room with pure magic. Emma and Toby laughed and clapped their hands with great joy. The mechanical bird sang its lovely song for 5 full minutes. When the song ended, the bird stopped moving and became quiet. "That was the most wonderful thing in the world," said Toby. Emma nodded and gently petted the bird's cold brass head. They felt very proud that they had fixed the broken invention. They decided to keep the underground room as their secret club. They promised never to tell anyone about the hidden stone stairs. It would be their special place to play and invent things. They spent the rest of the afternoon cleaning the dusty room. They wiped the tables and organized all the strange old tools. They made the secret workshop look tidy and welcoming again. When they were finished, they carefully walked up the spiral stairs. They closed the heavy wooden door at the top very tightly. They covered the door with the dark, wet autumn leaves. They walked back to their gray stone house in the country. Their mother was cooking a hot dinner in the bright kitchen. "Did you have fun in the garden?" she asked them happily. "Yes, Mother, we had a very wonderful adventure," Emma replied, smiling. They washed their dirty hands and sat at the dining table. They ate their hot food and thought about their secret club. That night, Emma and Toby slept very well in their beds. They dreamed about flying machines, brass birds, and brilliant old inventors. They knew that their new country home was full of magic. Every weekend, they went back to the secret room to play. They learned how to build small wooden toys and simple machines. The mechanical bird always sang its beautiful song while they worked. The old oak tree stood tall and strong in the garden. It kept their amazing secret safe, deep inside its thick roots. The children were very happy with their magical and mysterious discovery. Thank you for listening to this story on Easy Story Studio. Did you like the secret of the old tree? If you want to learn more English with simple stories, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you next time!